we go. Okay, cool. How do I get a link going? Boom. Okay. Okay, so we are going to add one thing that I wanted to do with LANCommander is if you go into if you go into a game and you go to media in 0.8.0, I added manuals so you can upload manuals alongside your media, so when you install the game in the new client, you can actually go to here and view the manual, and opens up the PDF. Or at least it should. Something is not right there. Might have to restart the client. Anyway, it should open there, but it like parses the thumbnail, puts it here, and you can open up the manual, which is pretty cool. But what I wanted to do was potentially automatically pull that in, and I found through steamdb.info that if you look up a game like Age of Empires, let's go to the retired one because it's the HD version. We go to app info. Maybe this one doesn't have it. I know that Call of Duty does. Go to app info, you can see that it lists the game manual URL. If you click on this link, it doesn't actually go anywhere. But if you use the CDN link with the app ID and the name of the file, it actually pulls down the document. So what we can do is we can potentially pull this down and automatically download it. Apparently my bitrate is low. Can I change that on the fly? Can I change that on the fly? Not from there. Stream output. Let's bump this up to 3200. That's a nice round number. It's streaming at that now, so I guess we'll see. Should be better. So anyway, yeah, so we have a way of getting from the app ID, we have a way of getting the manual. And this info can also be pulled from the Steam API, but the problem that I'm having is there's no like Steam API for actually searching for the games. So what I found was there's this URL you can hit. I just pulled this from going to the Steam store site. So all we're gonna do is scrape this because it does give us the app ID. If we can look for, say, Age of Empires 2, send. We get the definitive version and the retired version. I believe this is the correct app ID. Yeah, okay, cool. That's the correct app ID. So based on this, we can scrape this in. So we're basically going to copy what I'm doing for the PC Gaming Wiki, which I don't think I have. Okay, yeah. I set it up as a separate client. I might do the same thing. I think it's just easier. I like monolith repositories. That's just me. But let's do a new project. I'm gonna do a class library. Let's call this LANCommander dot Steam. Yeah. I don't like that, but okay, that's fine. We'll do it like that for now. We're going to do .NET Standard 2.0 because it's got to be used. Oh no, it doesn't have to be used in .NET Framework, but whatever. Sometimes it's easier just to support that, depending on the project that you have. I'm basically going to open this up and just copy off of it for the most part. So I'm going to call this Steam Client. We're going to do private HTTP client public Steam client. Do our constructor. We're going to do client equals new. We'll call this the store client, and it will point at store client.base trust equals new URI. We're going to pull in this guy. Okay. And then we're going to do public async task. And I want to return, we're going to call this get or search games, yes. String keyword. We're going to return a list or an enumerable of search game search results. If I could type today, holy cow. Do add new item. Oh, Visual Studio, come on. This interface is getting slower and slower. We're going to call it game search results. We're going to take a look at this model here. We get a name. I think we're just going to do name and app ID, which we could use something like a tuple, but I'm not a tuple type of person. Public int app ID. Cool. What we're going to do, we're going to look at the code that we have here, because I always forget how to use HTTP client. And we're going to do and we'll also need to have an HTML parser here. So this returns, let's just take a look. Oh, okay, that put it there. Okay. So we are going to do, how does this actually get stuff? URL, URI, URL. Oh, because, yeah, when I get back, it's just... Oh, I see. So we load using this HTML web, which is part of the HTML agility pack. So we don't even need this HTTP client, right? We can just do, we could just go into here. Agility pack. What version is this thing running? Am I using PC Gaming Wiki? Because I believe it's a very specific version for a very specific reason. 1158. That's not too far off. We should update that package at some time. Okay, so we'll do that. Steam client. We'll do var results equals, and we'll get the DOM. We'll do it like how we're doing here. So we're going to do HTML web goes new HTML web, HTML document. Call this DOM because why not? And we're going to load. We're just going to load this URL. And we're going to put in keyword. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, and then we're going to get, so this will be our DOM. Then we want to get all of our apps, which are going to be A's with matches, or we could select by app ID, which we probably just want to get app ID right away. And this is using XPath, and I always forget how to use XPath, but I have some stuff to go off of here. So we're going to do var results equals dom.select, nope, dom.get element by ID. That's not what I want. I want what do we have here? I only want methods. Cool. HTML agility pack. Let's look at the documentation. Parser from web. HTML doc.document node. Okay. dom.document node. Okay. Get. Or what was this method? Select nodes. Okay. So now we can feed an XPath. We're gonna do dot that let's say XPath select by attribute. all nodes of particular. Okay, so what if I just do like the right? If I do this, but I do like. I always forget XPath. We're gonna do A, and we're gonna do data ds app ID. For each results in results. And I'm just going to do we're going to also need the match name. So we can do that by doing results dot select single node to div class equals, that's how that works, right? We'll do whatever this class name is. Match underscore name. Cool. Okay, cool. So now what we can do is we do, well, let's do a list here of our, let's call this new list game search results. I'm just going to return this by the end of it. Results matches. This also doesn't necessarily need to be async because we're not, this is not an async method. I don't believe it has. Load from web async, look at that. Cool. I love everything async. And then we can do results. Oh, we also need to get the app ID for our app ID equals match dot attributes data ds app ID. That's going to give us a string, right? Value. Maybe? I don't know. Probably don't need that because it's already selected from here. Okay, so now we can do results dot add new. Boop. Match name app ID equals app ID. Match name dot inner text. And why isn't this a string? Oh, it is a string. That's a problem. Okay. Convert dot to int 32. Cool. So that should be an API to allow us to do that. I'm just going to do a quick little testy test. Usually I have some sort of testing apparatus on here, but I'm going to fake it for now. I'm going to do set a startup project. And in here, I'm going to do add project reference. Because I'll need to do this anyway. Steam. So many files. And here I'm going to do just at the top before this executes. Steam client equals new Steam client. Steam client search games Age of Empires 2. 8. And then I'm just going to step through this code. Okay, on our matches, we get 5, which is correct. The name... Oh, yeah, because it's the name of the... Because it's an A tag. App ID. Oh, yeah, duh, because I need to get the inner text. Oh, no. Okay, no, that's fine. We'll call this match name element. Yeah, I can spell today. And then I'll grab the inner text and we'll be Gucci. Inner text. See, definitive version. Boom. So now in my results, I should get a formatted list of game search results with their app ID. Look at that. Boom. It's funny that comes across as retired there. Does that actually come up when you search in the Steam store? Oh yeah, it does. Look at that. That's interesting. Yeah, this is the HD version, which I have probably played the most of. I don't know why. I mean, I know there's a definitive version, but whatever. Okay, so that gets our app IDs. So this is the thing that I was like struggling on. I was trying to figure this out yesterday. I was like, how am I going to properly get that app information? So what I can do then is I have a Steam client where I can go and get this stuff. I would like to be able to get the info for the game. And I think I want to do that in this same assembly. So there's this awesome NuGet package out there called will be in my recently browsed Steam Web API 2. And this guy basically just took the Steam API and wrote a wrapper for it. I don't think these packages are going to be that big of a deal. There's AutoMapper. Oh, why? That's an old version too. Is that going to cause problems? Is that going to cause problems? I mean, I could... No, it's not. It's not going to cause problems. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so we are going to look at the documentation for this thing. And we are going to look at Steam Web API 2. You gotta put a dev key in here. I don't necessarily want to stream that, do I? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what we'll do. We will take that in. I will write all my code. And then I will do it off screen. And then read it. And that should be fine. So, we're going to take this. Come on, window snapping. Come on. Let's do this guy here like that. Okay, cool. We will take this, and this is where he's doing the web interface stuff. Okay, so I'm going to do our constructor. We're going to do private read only Steam web interface factory web interface factory private, and I don't know what interface we need because of the way that this is constructed. You need to call well, let's do this first. Web interface factory equals new Steam web interface factory. We're going to do string API key. API key. And then we're going to do web interface factory dot oh, I think we could just do this, but then we have to feed it in a type. Steam with the IP2 interfaces, and we need to use the I think this is in the documentation for steamdb.info. They have a nice little reference thing here for the web API. I want to get an app by the game. Oh man, player service, store service, game inventory. Their API is huge, so let's just look down. Community content, credentials, device. Actually, I think Steam DB info. They have a FAQ. Where are you getting this information? Pipes. For most information, we parse the store pages because not all information is available in APIs. Various web APIs. So the thing is that they can't be scraping the store page for the manual because I think that only shows if you have the if you have the app. What we could do, they wouldn't like it if we did it, but we could scrape steamdb.info. But let's not do that. Because they have info on these things for games that have just released, right? Like they have info for a lot of these games. Recent app events, new on store. Okay, this is like 39 minutes ago. They have app info, and they have some of this information. But they have like the asset images, right? So like that's another thing I want to potentially grab is these asset images directly from Steam. So how do we get those images? If we look at the API, we can do product info service. Nope. Steam apps. Get app. Oh, this is promising. Oh, no, this is partner. You can't use partner. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, that's kind of a cool thing. They allow you to, you know, get if they allow you to check to see if a version number is the up-to-date version of an app. That's cool. CDN. No. I probably could just look this up. Steam Web API get game info. Oh, well, I already looked at these. App details. Do we even need this client? Let's grab definitive version. Oh. Neat. DLC, it's got those app IDs in here. Required age, type. Legal notice. Oh, it's got the images in here, so this is kind of what I want. Right? For like my heroes and stuff. It's got descriptions, which I actually really like the descriptions in Steam. And like we currently pull those from IGDB on when we do lookups for things. But they kind of suck on IGDB. So maybe we get them from Steam instead. It's nice that this is JSON. Oh, and they have minimum requirement specs in here too. That's kind of nice. Metacritic, tags, screenshots. Okay. This movie stuff. Recommendations, achievements, background. But they don't have the manual. So where do we get the manual from? Can we even get the manual? That's a big question. Probably not, I would assume, right? So if we just go store, we do... let's do Call of Duty. Actually, I should search for Call of Duty first in the app IDs. Give me the real Call of Duty, please, not the newer ones. No, okay, no manual. That's fun. They have to view the manual here. Oh. Oh. Can I just do, as long as I have the app ID? Oh. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Steam. You're wonderful. Okay, so let's just do let's just do another game. What's an older game that'll definitely have a manual? Let's do Doom 3. Doesn't have a manual. Of course not. Now this is really interesting too, because I can basically check to see if there's a manual by hitting that URL and seeing there's a 404, right? Or it'll have the actual game for me, but that'll also download it too, so that's going to be a little heavy. So I don't necessarily know if it's going to have the manual or not. Is that going to eat too much data? I don't think so. I'd like to think it doesn't. See, I like that as achievements here. Steam is a great platform. Like, there are things that are about it that could be better, like as for developers and stuff, but the amount of data that they collect and actually present you, and like being able to just have some of this information here is really, really nice. So that's cool. And they present it in a way that makes sense. There's a lot of platforms out there that like they'll put system requirements in the description, and they like won't even have like some of this legal speak in here. Like it'll be in just like the game description. Actually, a good example is GOG. I think their information kind of sucks. I love GOG. I love the service that they provide. But like there's some stuff that's just like missing here. Okay, they have system requirements, which is cool. Famously, they don't provide like much info about like multiplayer. Not that this is a multiplayer game, but if you went to search, like, let's do Baldur's Gate 2, they'll have multiplayer, but they won't say like what modes of multiplayer it has, which is really annoying. Anyway, so by this we can't tell that there's any manual for the game. So how would we know? Other than going here and scraping this, which we could do, right? We could just scrape Steam and get the app URL and then like try to find the manual. It's in here. Postman, that's where I was in. You could get it by any link that just starts with this and pull it down. Then we wouldn't need to, I mean, we'd be getting JSON, but like, what was this response? This response was 40 kilobytes. What's the difference between that and like the JSON? I just don't want to hammer Steam if we don't have to, because like that brings like bad attention. 3 kilobytes. Is there anything else in here that we can do? Like, what are the, does it provide like, I wonder if we can like boot up Fiddler. That might kill the stream, but I'd like to see if like, how does this know? If I install no, let's just keep on Call of Duty because I know that one has it. info. I don't even know where it puts the manual. Oh, there it is. Okay, additional content. So what is this right here, right? Like, what is this? Is this a page? Is this pulled in dynamically? How can I... Oh, that's interesting. When I click on this link and it opens up this, it brings me to the wrong URL. Which is what I saw. Where did I see that? That's in the Steam DB info. Right, so if we go into the app here, go to Steam DB info. And I go to app info. And I click on this. That is the wrong URL. So it must be scraping this information from the Steam client, which makes sense. Yeah, okay. So this isn't installed on my machine, so it must be getting this information. So if I go... I don't know if this is going to pick up or if this is going to kill the stream, but if I start Fiddler... and I go and view Modern Warfare 2. Holy moly. 4. And I look at library app details. Oh, there's my client session ID. Don't, let's hope that they are good about their security. Okay, so this is just JSON with the app ID, name, status, description. It doesn't have the details in there. Ooh, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, so this is just the community posts. This is Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Yeah. 2007. Yeah. Yeah. So where is it getting this info from? Let's sort by hosts. There's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Steam user images. What if I do? That doesn't do anything. Yeah, nothing super useful. I mean, like I can go to whatever this URL is. Right. If I go back to whatever window I had open. Oh my god, I have so many windows open. That's not what I wanted. I think what I'll do for now is just see if that 404s or not. It's going to be kind of heavy, but I think that's what we kind of have to do for now. Interface name. Oh, okay, yeah. This is all. This isn't like the store API, which really I'd have to go into deeper and figure out exactly what is happening there. But I think for now, if I just use that URL, which is going to be, if we look at the store page, I look at, oh my God, Windows, there we go. Call of Duty. It is this URL. So we're just going to go back. And we're going to go to here. We're going to get rid of all this stuff because we don't need this anymore. We might need an HTTP client, but we will need an HTTP client, but we'll do public static string get manual URL in app ID. Just make a nice little helper class. Turn ID. And then I'm going to take a look at, I don't want to use like REST Sharp or something if I don't have to. .NET download file. Cool. Yeah, HTTP client can do it. Look at that. So we'll do private read only client Steam client. I don't need to do any API key stuff now. And this actually kind of works for us. I hate kind of like having people sign up for like 1 million API keys. Maybe we'll get banned, but or blocked somehow from Steam, but whatever. Let's do this as a URI. Let's properly format our stuff, huh? Ooh. Okay. Nope, what am I doing? HTTP client equals new. HTTP client dot base address equals yes store dot steampower.com. So take a URL, right? Yep. Okay, cool. So then we shall make a new method. Public what do we pass this as a stream? Can we do a stream? We can do a stream, right? Public stream download manual async. Should change this to async as well. In app ID. Okay, var manual URL equal we'll do a memory stream. No, we'll just call this MS. Response equals await HTTP client get async sure, why not? We'll do await response content copy to async ms and return ms. Sure. Okay, and then we'll do Steam client dot download manual async. Call of Duty 2003. We're just going to assume the first result is what we want. So we'll do results.first.app.id. And this is just a test to make sure that we can download the manual. Results we get back are just the one, right? Yep, just the one, 2620. Manual data comes back as a memory stream. Oh, but it's disposed, of course. What if we just return bytes? I know that loads into RAM, but let's just do that. Let's do ms to array. Let's just make sure that we get the data right. Was that 952 kilobytes? Should be correct. Save cod.pdf. Yep, that's about right. Cool. All right, so we wrote a little client that will go and search games for this. I also do want to pull in that data, this JSON data, because this will get us the header images, which is cool. So right now, I think I might just merge this into the media grabber for the Steam Grid DB, which is this guy here. And I might just add it as like the first results. So what we'll do, these are our games, search for games. And since this will come back with our keywords, we could technically do a search for all of them. Right? Yeah. For each. It's kind of janky. And that would mean that we're doing like 10 requests at once, which Steam won't like. Maybe. Screw it. We'll do it. Sorry, Gabe. So we'll do for each for our game and games. And we're kind of already doing that there, so we just right, we're doing results and then we're grouping by name on that thing, right? So what we can do is inside here we can do var and we can even do case media type .manual. You do a little separate process here. Results, add range, wait, get manuals. And then, oh yeah, we'll just do that in each of these. We don't have to do it in here. And then we'll do a break. And we'll sort of copy these. Private async task. Enumerable. Media. Grabber results. Okay, manuals async. To var app ID results. We'll need to register this as a service too. So what we'll do, we don't need to do that. Steam client. Since we're not doing any authentication, we don't need to really do any sort of dependency injection. We're only using it in the context of this thing. Steam client equals new Steam client, right? Steam client dot we'll have to generate like images on the fly and everything like that, but we already have something for that. Search games async game dot name. And we'll do most likely, because this is going to match like the game name. The game name is most likely going to match what is in Steam, so I'm just going to grab the first. It's a little janky, but whatever. And this is just manuals everywhere anyway, so it doesn't matter. It'll be different once we get into logos and backgrounds and everything like that. But for now, we can do return app ID results where. No, I can just do select. Right? That's select. R for results. Media grabber results. ID. source URL can just be Steam client.get manual URI app id.toString. It's not gonna have a thumbnail URL, which is fine. I'm gonna have to display this differently, but group equals game.name, so it'll be grouped by that. MIME type. We can download the stuff here, right? And actually, what we'll do is we'll do this. We'll make this like a nested sort of dealio. Results equals, and then we'll do return result. Just say application PDF for now. They're most likely all going to be PDFs. I wouldn't imagine that they're anything but PDFs, so we could probably keep it there. But we'll just use it based on the content type, maybe. No, I mean that's fine. We'll just do MIME types. Let's get MIME type. Oh. Where am I not hard coding that stuff? Because I wasn't doing a hard coding. I think it was when I did the actual uploading of the media, which is going to be under oh, that's going to be under the media service. Kind of refactor this as we go. Here we go. Media type names. That's the name of it. Let's do media type names dot image dot ping. Media type names dot jpeg. What's this? WebP? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why it's under application, but whatever. App ID results. Yes, yes, yes. But we need to download the PDF, which we can do by Steam client manual data equals. Oh god, this is gonna load us a bunch of crap into RAM, but whatever. Maybe not. Maybe not, depending on how many manuals there actually are. Download manual async. Nope, I don't want to do this like this. I want to do for each. Sometimes, you know, link is cool. Other times, you might as well do something else. var result. Now we have this. Then we do if result. Oh no, we'll do this. We'll do this. Var manual data equals new. Nope. Steam client Download manual async. We'll feed it the app ID of app ID result dot app ID. Wait. And we can do a nice little if manual data is equal to null or manual data dot length is equal to 0. Continue. I'm just going to skip over this guy. And then we can do results dot add result. It would be nice if we could put that data right in there, and then it wouldn't have to like go out and download it again. I might do that. I might have to add to this media grabber result. Byte data. It's only going to be used in this case because it's only going to be downloaded by the server then. Honestly, it'd be better. It might be nice to do this in other places, but whatever. Okay, we're doing it this way. Data is equal to manual data. So this is going to go through. It's going to search games across the Steam client. It's going to build a list of results. Those results are going to contain, we're going to try to get the manual data first. If we don't get the manual data, we're going to skip over this app ID result because this app that's returned the results doesn't have any manual. Based on just this generic link that Steam provides, which is nice. Then we're going to build a result. We're going to mark it as manual. We're going to mark it as a MIME type PDF. Source URL, we're going to get that, generate that URL again, which is fine. We're going to throw into the group name of game, and we're going to add it as a result. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do return results. Now the media grabber should be able to handle manuals fine. So if we go into, first of all, I want to remove this sample code out of this guy here because we don't need this anymore to test our stuff. I got rid of the right amount of stuff, right? Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, so now we go into the UI and we go into the component for media editor, and we're going to do allowed media types. Searchable media types, we're going to add media type manual. Now this is probably going to break because we don't have a thumbnail. We don't have a thumbnail URL. So it might even throw an exception because I can't remember. How do we go through data source values, image? Oh. Oh no, this is for the, okay. No, so when we open up add media, do we open up in modal? And that is going to be the media grabber dialog. Right. Media grabber dialog. Image picker, thumbnail URL. Okay, so we actually do try to parse out the thumbnail URL. So we could potentially handle the thumbnails on our own by generating that from the data. We'll see. I'm just going to run this and see what happens. Oh, okay. You've seen text doc. Sorry, I didn't have my chat open. You've seen text doc and RTF from Steam. That makes sense. And kind of complicates things. I could potentially get out. I could parse out like a result. Because when you get the body of the data from the HTTP client, it's going to tell you what content type it is. So that's cool. I could possibly pull that out. Right now we're just going to deal with the PDF. Oh, wow. Okay, this pulled in. Oh, yeah, I fixed all of the, this is kind of a small thing, but I fixed all of this time stuff. So before it was showing and it wasn't correct because it was, if something had been played for over a day, it cut off the days. So it only looks like, you know, if you played like 29 days, 0 hours, 8 minutes, which was one of our games, reportedly, it would cut off the days. So like that's fixed. And like I added the ability for you to like get rid of like corrupted playtimes, which is cool. So now like my graphs actually show our actual playtimes, which are awesome. I'm gonna go to Call of Duty. So we're gonna go to Edit. It's gonna pull in manual. Oh right, that's disabled. God. Of course, I forgot I added that like 2 days ago. We gotta go into media grabber, no, media editor. And we're gonna get rid of this. Really, that button should only be disabled if it's in the, if it's not in the searchable media types, but that's completely different. To add new media, we're gonna do a search, results. Oh, it's taking a while. It's taking a while. Is it doing something? Oh no. Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine. Because there will be no matches. What does this end up being? What does this look like? Oh, because that's not like actually a game, right? That they consider that like software. So if I do this, right? Yeah, because that's actually considered like software. So we need to harden this a little bit and do if matches equal to null or matches count to 0 just for safety. Turn enumerable dot empty. It's thinking. We have results. Oh my god, it came up with 33. Okay, so I might have to limit the results of manuals, because otherwise it's going to try to download everything that comes through. So I might have to... Yeah, because it's downloading it. It's getting the data. It's there. You can see it's loading, but it's just loading it straight into RAM, which, I mean, excuse me. They're not big files, but... you know, it's, even if these are only like a megabyte, this one's half a meg. Even if they're only like a half a meg or a megabyte, that, I mean, it's still stuff that we don't really want to load if we don't have to. Plus, if we're going to have to generate the thumbnails on them. So I might see if I can limit those results. But let's just take a look through here. Advanced Warfare. Oh. What is the difference there? Results dot select r dot ID. Are there dupes in here? Order by. Oh, duh. I think I could just call order. Those are well, these two are duplicated. Okay, so I need to do a deduplication on... Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So before I do... because this is going to search it for every game. Okay, that's kind of a pain. So I will need to do a dedupe before it actually starts to download the games. So I really need to get these app ID results beforehand, which is fine. It just makes this a little bit... annoying. Because then I have to do this outside. If type is equal to manual, yeah, then I just have to do this. Free range style. We'll do... we'll just call get return get manuals async, and then we'll pass in keywords. Take this. Instead, what we'll do is we'll just parse this as var app ID results. Yeah, that's that. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, this works. This works. This is fine for manuals. It'll be different once we get to actually... Oh no, OBS Studio disconnected. Okay, reconnected. It's saying that my stream quality is low, so I'm just gonna bump that real quick. I'm on fiber, so I'm at like 3200 kilobit right now. I'm just gonna bump it up to 6000 kilobit. Hopefully that bumped up. It says I'm streaming out now. Okay. Well, I just bumped it up, so it's like 6 meg now. Hopefully YouTube stops yelling at me. Okay, so keywords. I need to get... we're just going to pass this into keywords. And then this will just do our... it'll be grouped by the result name. So this is going to look a little weird in the interface because it's only going to have one item, but like that's fine. Since this is an async method, await. Yep. Okay, now let's try this. And maybe this is the point where we generate those URLs for the thumbnails. I don't know. We'll see. I could also just use like a generic thumbnail too. Like I don't have to show the thumbnail of the manual, right? Like it'll have the name of the game, and you can select whether that's the right game or not. So maybe I'll just throw a generic icon up there if it's a manual. That's very doable actually. So I'll probably do that. We'll do a search, Call of Duty. What's it come back with? And yeah, there's nothing here. So like, but that's not going to have the 2003 version in it. Because the search results only returned 5. So this is going to be a pain for Call of Duty 1. In which case, like, having the manual would the thumbnail for the manual would be nice. But let's look at, like, Call it... I swear I'm going to fix this input, and it makes me more mad than it makes you. I can guarantee that. I just haven't figured out why that debounce is such a pain in the butt. We're going to media, manual, Call of Duty 2. See, now it loads Call of Duty because it's 2003. But if we select that, what does that do? It's not going to do anything because the data is not being parsed at all. And it's going to throw me an error, of course. And there's no CRC32 on it. So we need to calculate a CRC32. And I need to pull in this data somehow special. So if we go to the media editor, it's going to be on the result of opening up the dialog from the media editor. Which is fine. So what we'll do is if media.type is equal to media type manual, we'll do some special processing in here. And we'll do, but if it's, so if it's text or Docker RTF on Steam, we won't be able to generate the thumbnail. So I'll probably just, I'll do a generic. That's fine. It might crash some other things, but we'll deal with that when we get there. If you have any recommendations for like manuals that definitely come through as Docker RTF, I'd love to know and see just how it breaks and if we can like have it not break the system when it loads. So we have the data. So what we need to do is write that data. I'm going to put that into media service. So do await media service. Download media async. It's not download media, it's like save media async. I'll pass through media. Dot data. I think that's a thing, yeah. Public async task media save media async byte data media var file ID equals grid dot new grid var path this can be improved upon. I would love to not have to download the manuals for everything. It's kind of a waste of data, but wait. Fs dot right. Can I feed it a byte? Ah, look at that data. 0 data dot length. Is there an async? Fs dot right async. There is. Of course there is. Media.crc32 equals calculate checksum. So we can get the checksum directly from here. Media.file ID is that. Return media. Look at that. Okay, so we can throw this in here. So we'll do media.type is equal to media. Oh, actually, no. What we can do, we can make this a little smarter. So in the future, we don't have to touch this. If we want to do like video uploads or something like that, we can do media.if media.data is not equal to null. And media.data.length greater than 0. We can do await this guy here. Else. Download it. Okay, so this is going to go, and when it gets the result from the media grabber dialog, it's going to see if it... Oh, I need to do that here as well. Red Alert 3 World Builder Manual is RTF. Holy crap, that's obscure. Do you have the app ID for that by chance? Or I can just look that up in... Oh, I have King Arthur's Gold. Okay, cool. I will take a look at that in a second. No, that's fine. Those are great. You don't need to search for any more. Appreciate it. Media service dot... Oh, this is actually not what I want. I want this here. Yes. That's what I want, right? That's it. That's it. Okay, so now if we run this, hopefully what this should do is actually save the data, calculate the CRC32. If we can compile... Oh, because it's not returning. It's going to be on result. Duh. Results.data. Result. Because this is the property result. Okay. Yeah, so theoretically what this should do is when you close the dialog because you've selected something, it should grab the data, write it to a file, calculate the CRC32, return that as part of your media object that comes back, and then this will go through and then either update it or save it. So this should work. I really like the way that I built the media grabber. Right now it's only grabbing stuff from Steam, but there's no reason that you couldn't grab it from other locations if you wrote like an implementation for it. And it's pretty genericized, which is cool. I would potentially like to do another one down the road, but honestly, like it's been working out pretty well so far. So, if somebody wanted to go and to extend that at some point, they absolutely could. Hit search, Call of Duty 2. We're gonna select this like non-existent pixel here. Select. Okay, it saved it. It's not gonna do like the thumbnail or anything because I haven't written any of that stuff. And it doesn't have a name. But we can change this now. This is an update I pushed out last night. You can actually like click off of it and it'll update the title and it's there. But if we go into the files for the project, where this stuff is actually coming in, or is it going to be under here, media? Today, yeah, 530 kilobytes. Oh, buddy. There we go. We have our manual downloaded. Cool. Okay, so we have some very basic manual downloading, which is neat. And really, I'm doing this because I have like 200. Well, I have like 275 games on my production server right now, and getting manuals for those and like downloading them is a pain. So if I can automatically grab those potentially from Steam if they have a Steam entry, that's cool. Will various IDs be exposed for manual entry? IGDB, Steam, blah blah blah. For matching. No. It's a good idea. I don't know that it's a good idea that I might look into down the road. So, for instance, what you're asking for is essentially, you could do it a couple ways, right? You could go into the media editor, and when you go to actually search for something like a logo, as it returns results here for me, you could specify like the ID and then have that be as part of your search. Since we're only grabbing from Steam right now, I actually don't know if what's Call of Duty 2620? Yeah, okay. So this is hitting the for these images, it's hitting the Steam grid DB, which doesn't take app IDs. Like their ID system is different than the actual IDs from Steam, I believe. If we just search Call of Duty 2003, yeah, so their ID is not 2620, so they have some other sort of like matching there, and there is no way through the API to like put in 2620 and get out the game, which is really annoying, and that's for results like this. But if you wanted to, because like they have the original Steam assets, these are also not like grabbable, which is really annoying. If you wanted to grab those, what you'd have to do in LANCommander is we could parse this out and be an ID and potentially pull it out, but it would either have to be like a separate button, or you would have to have a separate grabber specifically for Steam, and then have that grabber for Steam have this be able to just take the app ID. Which is possible. It's doable. I just don't know that I want to do it at the moment. It's quite a bit of work. But yeah, it is annoying when you're like trying to search for media and something doesn't come up. And like there are times where I search for a game And that's what I want to try to do. I might not do it tonight because this manual stuff is taking me longer than I've wanted it to. But I might try to figure out if I can get if this game name matches the Steam listing, which it seems like it does. I might be able to search based on this name and get the data, the like official assets out of the system, and then populate them in the media grabber. But yeah, not playing with most of what you're working with. I'm still working on manual entry for obscure games. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like IGDB kind of sucks. It's really good in that it has some data that is really, really good. And its API is fantastic. So using it as a programmer is awesome. But if I want to search for something like Recoil, which is like one of my favorite games, it comes up with Recoil like 99 as a result, but it's got all these other crappy results that like have no information. I'm sure this is like a fine game, I'm not saying anything about the game, but it's got no info. This actually has like some info, but if I look at a game in my library that's like General's 0 hour, like why is this description so freaking long? And then there's stuff like where I want more information about, like, what is this? Why is this like broken? Well, that might have been me, but yeah, there's just some games that were like the description is like way too long, or it's missing, like Die by the Sword is just like one line, or some of these are actually pretty damn consistent, but like Flying Heroes is a game that like nobody knows about. And yeah, like it just needs to be better. I wish more people provided like info. So like another potential way to get info would be from Steam. Their store like API seems pretty good. I just don't necessarily want to hammer things that don't require an API key. And there doesn't seem like to be a great way to get that from Steam at the moment. Wish there was a better way to add IGDB entries from Launchbox JSON. Yeah, so I used Launchbox in the past. And it is highly okay. There's been a lot of work into it, and it's like a huge community effort, which is where I want to get to eventually with LANCommander. And I need to have like a proper database, but some of their information, as I'm sure you've seen, let's just search for Flying Heroes. Yeah, like it doesn't even have anything for Flying Heroes, Recoil. And it's got the PC version of Recoil. That background is kind of atrocious. This is a 2D shooting game. As the score increases, the difficulty becomes more and more difficult. This is just wrong. This is a 3D game. Yeah. So Launchbox is cool because it does have a lot of stuff that's built into it, and it covers a lot of platforms. It tries to do everything, which is great. But it's almost like it tries to do too much. It tries to be like the all-in-one launcher, which is actually also why I've started to move away from Play Night and why we're going to have our own launcher very soon in like a full release. Because I know like another launcher is not something that somebody wants, but LANCommander is very much tailored for like PC games or hosting your own game library, and Play Night is more of a center for your games. that are on your machine, or like just game metadata in general, which is fine. Um, and Launchbox tries to do the same thing, which is fine. But the problem that I always have is you try running Launchbox, like, and this is where LANCommander comes into play, right? Like, you have your game library, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your entire game library is installed on your computer. And Launchbox and Playknight work great for ROMs and games that are already installed through Steam. But actually installing the game, like if you have a game like that game Flying Heroes, it's not on Steam. It's not on Zoom. It's not on GOG. It's not on any of these platforms. So you need to install it. By having that installer built into LANCommander and packaged up as a file that you can go and then download, it frees your system a little bit more. And obviously, you can take that game and then install it across multiple machines, which makes it great for LAN party situations or even just like your own devices. But yeah, it's the difference of I'm trying to think of like any other like industry equivalents, because like on the media side of things with TVs and movies, you've got, oh, I know exactly what it's like, and I'll use it as an example in a second. But and Plex is great. Plex and Jellyfin are great because it's kind of like you have a central server and it allows you to host your videos across like multiple platforms, right? From one server. The equivalent of like Playknight and Launchbox are like iTunes or Winamp, which they are great platforms. They are great applications. They do a good job of what they do, but it's still only for that machine. And if you have your own media imported into Winamp or iTunes, unless you have that on like a map drive, using those applications is a pain. I've been searching for something that fits a niche for a long time. Yeah, so I only know of like a few things that are out there. I've heard of GameFin before. If I remember correctly, it's more automatically scans your game library, downloads additional metadata from HTTP, download games. Yeah, so like the secret sauce of well, first of all, it's written in Java. Sorry, Java devs, but I'm sure it's a great project. I haven't used it myself. It seems fairly basic in what it does, and it's probably meant to be pretty basic, which is great. Yeah, download games directly from your browser, which is cool. Like, yeah, if you want to manage like a giant ROM library, you want to make it as easy as possible, I'm sure this works great. The other one that I've seen is, it used to be called Crackpite. It's Game Vault now. It takes a... Is it gone? Game Vault app. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Game.vault. Okay, well, I don't know if their robots.txt are set up incorrectly, but they don't get scraped. No, I don't know. They don't get scraped. So like, yeah. So this, when I came out with like the first version of LANCommander and I released it out into the world, Game Vault was very, very close to what I was trying to do. And they've made some pretty good progress. And I actually haven't checked this out in a while. And like their documentation site is great. But when it comes to like, and this is exactly what I ran into. I wrote LANCommander. The first iteration of LANCommander was actually called LAN Launcher, and I started about 8 years ago. And it worked. It was written in Node.js. It was its own launcher, and the server was basically just an HTTP file server that had some metadata in it, and it would parse that metadata based on YAML files that you would give it, or maybe JSON files at the time. It was packaged in a zip file, and then you would like throw the cover in there and everything like that. It was a very manual process of like throwing the your metadata info into the game files. Game Vault is also tied to its own launcher. There's no forward-facing server and basically no manual entry, all tied to IGDB. Yeah, so what I ran into was like I was doing all manual entry, and then there was like no web scraping. But like you should, and I've been learning this through work, if you give someone an automated process, you should always give them the ability to override that automated process when something needs to happen, because like IGDB is incomplete, Steam is incomplete, GOG is incomplete. Anywhere that you get this data from is incomplete. So you have to be able to override that. In the same way that LANCommander is always going to be incomplete. You have to be able to provide people with an override. So what that came to be with LANCommander. Let me look at my personal one. When you have a list of games and you have like save files in those list of games, that's not a good example because there's no save files there. You have to give the ability to like delete these files, or if you go into a game and you edit the metadata of the game, you have to be able to change the title, the notes. With that, the thing that I see that Game Vault doesn't do, and maybe this has changed. Adding games to Game Vault, preparing. Yes. Game files. Yes. So extract, naming the archive. Like you have to. It's so manual. And I don't know if they're like, if you have files that are just exe files, right? Like, how does this actually get installed? I don't understand that. Does it just deploy the setup files to your computer and you're expected to install them then? And like that's the thing. That's the thing that I like about LANCommander, and the special sauce is scripting. Being able to run PowerShell scripts to basically re-implement the game installer as it was. Allows you to do more things you might not be able to do, like apply patches or, like on my setup scripts, if I look at like Battlefield 1942, for instance, if I look at my setup script, I try to set like the display width and height, like on based off of your system. So when you start it up for the first time, it's at like the correct resolution. I also try to do things like match like refresh rates and that sort of thing, because having to go through every single game and try to figure out what that option needs to be is kind of a pain. Obviously that's like way over the top, and there are some games like I don't know how you would get this game into Game Vault, but Lord of the Rings, Battlefield Middle Earth 2, blah blah blah, getting this set up normally, like through putting ISOs in, is a pain in the butt, because like it has to create all of these registry entries. So what is Game Vault going to do? Is it going to pull down like the ISOs, or like have all the setup files there and like you have to install it like that? And then like what do you do about CD keys? Having the ability to re-implement the game installer one, it makes it so you can customize it, which is cool. You can basically put it anywhere that you want, where a set of file doesn't necessarily allow you to do that. But two, it sort of preserves um, it it might be going too far to say it's like a preservation effort, but it allows you to preserve how a game installer runs, because there are a lot of game installers that will not run on modern systems for whatever reason. They're incompatible, or especially like some of the older like 16-bit stuff. Like those installers won't work on modern Windows. They haven't worked on modern Windows for a long time. So being able, and it sucks because it does put this scripting on the user to do it themselves, but that's why the wiki exists, and that's why I want to get to the point where there's a something other than the wiki that you can upload your metadata into, so people can share like what it took to get something running. And that's also why like some of the freeware stuff, I have those as downloadable games on the Discord, because then you can just import them and see how we kind of do things. Sorry, I can't see because I got this stupid heart in the way of my chat here. But their dev is pretty slow. Yes, okay, their dev is pretty slow. Yeah, and honestly, like looking at their stuff, like it's a great attempt at what they're doing. There's some really cool, they have some social stuff in there, and they're doing some WebSocket stuff where they're actually like having real time information about players. But it's an early project, and based on the code that I saw, there's some junior development happening in here, which is fine. Like, again, I started doing my original version of LANCommander 8 years ago, and that code is still up on my GitHub, and it's not great. But it is what it is. I also don't really like that mentality, and the fact that it was called crack pipe originally. Like, it just doesn't need to be like that. So yeah, and like slow development. Like I've put so much time into this that I have definitely taken like some plans and put them off. I can't fault anyone for taking a slow time on something. It should never be used as like a diss or a negative about a project, unless it's something that like you're paying for, right? Anyway, so we were talking about manuals. We got game manuals downloading. I'm probably gonna head off here in a few minutes, but I did want to show off kind of what's in the works. Pretty much all the code is out there right now, so like it's not a surprise. But currently, the new client with the release that I did last night, the new client doesn't run PowerShell scripts, which is like kind of a big issue. I'm going to try to do a release tonight that has that. I think I need to package it in a different way. And it essentially means until we can strip the Play Night extension out of the... So right coming around the corner, we're going to have 0.9.0, which is going to be the first official release of the full client. When that is released, that's going to be the last version that the Play Night extension is supported on. Moving forward, I will only be supporting the starting with 1.0.0. I will only be supporting the LANCommander client, which is what this is, which I'm sure you've seen screenshots of it at this point if you're in the Discord and all that stuff. This is pretty fully featured right now. It's missing a lot of features that people that like Play Night, have grown to love, like the ability to filter games and to see metadata about the games and everything like that. It doesn't have some of that sorting and filtering. But if you are crafting your own library, unless you have like 2,000 games, and yes, George, I'm looking at you, there are some things in here that are not going to work for you immediately. And I don't necessarily know how to support those. But at the very least, we have collections, so you can organize games into collections. But the new client is going to allow for more rapid development and more advanced features that I haven't been able to do in the past, because Playnite is kind of stuck in this. They're using the old .NET framework, which is, at this point, I'm pretty sure it's like deprecated by Microsoft. They're still supporting 4.8 for a long time. Wow, my throat's getting dry. They're still supporting 4.8 for a long time, but it's at the end of its life. So, and it's also like not cross-platform and all this other stuff. So the new launcher, it needs some of the things that you see in other launchers, like filtering and sorting and stuff like that. But I wanted to make sure that I hit like the core things. So you can go and install, I think I have enough disk space. You can go and install games, and like they'll download and everything like that, and you get live progress. And honestly, I think it looks pretty damn good for what it is. Ooh, that's not working. That's fun. But you have your download queue, just like you have that was introduced in the Playnite extension. You can download games. You can change your name. You can new features. You can like view manuals if those were working. I don't know why. I think I have to restart this application or something, but you can view the manuals and everything like that. And like it'll download, and you can go and you can hit play, and it'll play the game, and you can browse the files, open up all that stuff. But yeah, there's some things like the filtering that's not there. But what this is going to allow doing, since it's in .NET Core, we can potentially run the client on other platforms such as Linux and macOS. I actually put a build out yesterday for Linux and macOS. I have no idea at what capacity it runs, but it's there. It's not tested. I have no idea what it does. But at the very least, it probably won't run any post-install scripts because of how the PowerShell stuff works. And that's something that's going to change in 1.0.0. And it's more likely that like Linux support will be actually like fully featured. But you can probably download games, and it will probably run the games as well, which is kind of huge. But yeah, the launcher is using Blazor. It's using the same core UI library as the backend. And most of the functionality was written in about a month, which is pretty incredible, in my opinion. And it was written because I wasn't sure what I was going to show off at OpenSauce, and I wanted to show off something cool. So I showed off the launcher. At OpenSauce, we didn't do anything really, but we played games. So showing off the launcher was only shown to like a few people who were actually really interested. But it got use, and it was like battle tested, so like it actually ran pretty well. And honestly, it's not that complicated when you get down to it. But yeah, so I mean, in this first iteration, as we go through, I'm really looking for like stability issues. There are things that are going to come up, like when you launch a game. If a game launches another Windows and another window, and this is just how Windows works, right? Like if you start a game, if you start a process, and that process starts another child process, and the original process closes down, like if you have your A process, which is the launcher, you have B, which is your in between, and then you have your C. If B closes, my launcher has no idea what game is actually running in the background. So I really need to know like stuff like that, like how much does that actually affect? Is that something that we can fix? I think the answer is yes, but it's kind of a separate topic or a separate thing that needs to be figured out. The filtering is something honestly I didn't add because I wasn't sure how to go about it yet. And with it, I wasn't sure, do you want to see your full library on the left and like everything that you have access to here? Or does the client more like interface with a store? And you browse the store, the store for the games that you want to install. And when you install them, it adds it to your library. And I think that depends on how many users are going to be accessing your library. If you're a single user, it doesn't really matter. Some sort of interface like this, or something that you can search through, filter through, is probably going to work for you pretty well. But if you have like a store, if you're just one person, you're not going to want to add a bunch of stuff to your library. But it would work for like LAN parties really well. Like roll in, you have these 270 games like I've got here, and they can just go and install anything from the store. So that's where like, I would be open to input as far as what would be a way to. I don't really care about like what the interface would look like or anything like that. That's something I have to figure out. But being able to know what filters you want to see would be something that's interesting. And how that actually gets filtered, how that actually shows up in the interface. I could have an easy button here that would filter this list, and it would have your basic filters for, picking genres, or, having a search, or, showing ones that are installed, or ones that have a certain multiplayer mode. That's actually something that I get quite a bit of use out of with Play Night with. And this is obviously for my use case, so it's not like everyone's use case. But if we go to the filter, I added as features the amount of people that you can play in LAN, local, and online multiplayer. And that's fun. Being able to see that info is great, but based on the metadata that we have available to us in Play Night, it makes that really annoying. Where is that even under? That's under feature. Because I can't just have a slider that's like 2 to 64 people. I can't like drag that and see how many people are in there. So like that is a control that I'm going to add, but it's it's just going to take some breathing time. In my opinion, if you're collecting the data in the server, you should be able to search filter it on the client. Yeah, that's perfect. That is a great sort of metric. Like if you are putting in the data, you should be able to search by it. That's totally fair. I think there are some outliers where maybe that doesn't apply, like the description of the game. But yeah, certainly like being able to see like by what engine, the type, maybe the type. Yeah, probably the type. Developers, publishers, all this stuff. This info might change. Like the interface will stay the same with this. But I think one of the things that I'm going to do is change how they're stored in the database. You won't have to do anything when you update it. It should be fine. And it's probably like a larger task that I won't get to right away. But like multiplayer modes and all of these taxonomies, like developers, publishers, genres, these will probably change in the future. But yeah, I think right now the thing that I'm kind of operating off of is having a filter button in the bottom here and like kind of segmenting this off somehow, and being able to like have a search down here that you could search for titles, and then have a bigger filter button here where it would give you like a pop-up, and then you could choose the different things that you want in there. I think that's probably a good way of going about it. And honestly, I think that's better than what Steam has right now. Oh no, that's actually exactly what Steam has. Perfect. Um, Obviously, it's a little bit different because like their genres are checkboxes. I think having that as a drop down is fine. Same with like some of these play states. Not that we would necessarily have these, but like just a checkbox for installed or uninstalled would be fine. But yeah, like store tags. Like, can I do multiplayer? Yes, I can. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I think it's reasonable to do something like this. Honestly, I might try to hit it from 1.0. Um, because, like I said, the client is pretty fully featured right now. There's not many things I would have to do to make it ready for 1.0. It's just like kind of getting some of the build scripts like in place. Honestly, I would say that like 9.0 is around the corner. I need to do a couple things with the client, so it's like I can take it out of preview, and then it's good. And then after that, 1.0 would probably add like your filtering features, and I might try to do some more special stuff with the client to make it obvious why the new client has to be used. And that would include things like, I don't know how many people actually use this functionality, but like the servers, being able to see what servers are available and being able to start a game and join directly to those out of a different view, so you could see like what dedicated servers are configured at the server level would be nice. I may or may not do like a friends list, like people who are on your server and what their status is, if they have the launcher open, that sort of thing. But kind of the big feature that will come with 1.0, which is kind of like behind the scenes, is the PowerShell scripting engine will be overhauled. Right now, it runs a very basic. I basically take the PowerShell script and feed it into PowerShell.exe, and then I will like potentially run that as admin, which is kind of crappy, and I don't like it. But with newer .NET, you can actually embed a PowerShell runtime directly into your application, which makes like the PowerShell version that you need to run certain scripts, it basically makes that a non-issue. And it also means that we can run that PowerShell scripting engine on we can run it on Linux and macOS as well, which is pretty cool. I guess then went tick box instead of drop down because you need multi-select. Yeah, but that's like an interface that like is pretty easy to do. We have that in. I mean, that's why like this is, you know, collections. You can just like add a bunch of stuff. You can remove the tags. I think they just also try to curate those lists a little bit, which is not a bad idea. But yeah. You thinking a hook to start the server if not start from a client? That's actually built in right now. So if you go into a server, you go into like Battlefield 1942 here, you go to auto start. You can start it based on player activity, and it will basically only start, or it will auto start when somebody starts Battlefield 1942, and it like reports their things to the server. They're like they actually start a play session. One of the things I want to do is I want to have a start delay. I also want to have an end delay. So when somebody quits out of the game, it waits maybe like, I don't know, whatever time span you want to have, like 5 minutes before it actually shuts the server down. That way, if somebody was like starting and stopping a game quickly, it won't hurt that like server and won't try to like start over and over. With that being said, like the way that we're collecting play sessions now and the way that we're tracking that is actually really crappy. So like I don't get to know when somebody starts or stops a game, or if their game is, I should say this, when the game is started the client does request up to the server to say to start recording a play session. When that play session is stopped by the client says, okay, I've stopped my play session, end it, we're done. From there, it will start or stop the server, based on whatever. Moving forward, and by dumping play night, we can have a WebSocket connection between the server and the client. I should say the server and the launcher. And that will basically allow, like on an interval, like a 1 second interval, we can see if anybody's running the game. That same mechanism will be used to have rich presence in the friends list, or in the I'm gonna have like a Discord rich presence thing where you could potentially see like what server they're in. That's like way down the line and not a focus right now. But being able to do features like that and have like an active live view of what people are doing, especially in a LAN environment, that's going to be key. I'm running the server in Docker container currently, but I might have to migrate to Linux proper or Windows VM. So yeah, I think there are a few ways to go about this, and like I understand why people run it in just a Docker container. I don't run it like that. I run it on a Windows box because I want to run these servers. But what I really would like is to have like the Linux server community take over the maintenance of the Docker container. And I would love to see Wine implemented in the Docker container, because then some of these games, especially like Call of Duty or like any Quake engine based games, they run perfectly fine in Wine. And like the biggest problem with Wine is like the graphics APIs, right? So if you don't need to run that and you're just running a console in the background, and like rendering the UI, like Battlefield 1942, if we start this, oh wait, no, that's actually a different interface. I think there's some like Freelancer. If you start Freelancer, do I have my server open right now? Yeah, so if you have Freelancer set up here, this is like a Windows, just like a Win32 API like window that's rendered. There are some complications, and I just don't have the time to get into it or like to work on it myself. But if the Linux server community can make it so that you could start these servers inside the Docker container and run it through Wine, and then that application window could be visible through an RDP collection or an RDP connection, that would be sick. So yeah, the question about thoughts on externally hooking into non-native servers hosted through Pterodactyl or Linux Game Server Manager. I don't. Do those have APIs? I'm assuming they do. Linux GSM is the docs. I think I would be into doing this. But oh, I can't read. Yeah, they don't have like a web API, do they? Dev docs. That's where we are. Yeah, I would think spawning a server-specific container would be better than running in the LC container. Yeah, potentially. And so this is kind of the problem with I think Linux GSM. I think where Pterodactyl is the same thing. Is just that they're meant for running like headless things, and again, a lot of the games that I personally run are pretty obscure by today's standards. Like Freelancer, I don't know. Linux GSM Freelancer. Yeah, like there's nobody talking about like Yeah, this is not Linux GSM. Like some of these old servers, they just were not really meant for running on Linux. And Linux GSM works really great with servers that are honestly, frankly, pretty easy to run in a Docker container already. Um, I think hooking into something like that or being able to manage Docker containers would work better as like a premium feature of LANCommander. Um, and I'm more into preserving, like getting games to run that have either been forgotten or lost to time or whatever. The actual like server orchestration of stuff like that, like once we get a bigger presence with LANCommander, yeah, we could absolutely hook into Linux GSM or something like that. But I would probably want to have it be like some sort of license, um, just because if you're using it in that capacity, you're you're relying on LANCommander in a very different way, um, and the current version of LANCommander is free, but that sort of support extends into almost enterprise territory or commercial territory. But overall, right now, like the main project is free. Like basic stuff that you have right now is free and always will be free. Um, so that's cool. I think, and I think like versus working with something like Pterodactyl or Linux GSM, I think the server thing, I think there is an argument for like just starting stopping Docker containers. That might be like a free feature. Um, that does get into like working with like the Docker socket and everything like that, which I've never really messed with. So it would just need more um, investigation really. But I think I'm going to call it there because it is like 8:40 here, and I need to make dinner. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna try to do a release maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'm certainly going to try to fix the right now the uh, 0.8.1 release of the Playnite extension doesn't work. It won't extract files, but I can do a quick release tonight and get that out so it's fixed. I'll probably just replace the text file that's on the release right now. But I did test a game called, someone in the Discord posted it. Oh, Spellbreak. I did test this. This is a game that the files, content files, there's a pack file that's over 23 gigs or over 20 gigs. Specifically over 4 gigs. So the fix that I put in for Sharp Compress to actually work with files with zip64 files, so entries in the zip file that are larger than 4 gigs, it actually does work fine. So I just need to get that Playnite extension update out there so that actually works. But it does work in the new client, assuming you don't have to run PowerShell scripts. So we'll get that figured out. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I might do more of these. I might not. I don't know. Tell your friends. I need more people in the community to work on things with me. Been working on sandbox container monitor installs. Yeah, so stuff like that too. Sandbox container monitor installs. So I think that's like your automated system for generating installers through Playnite or through LANCommander. Yeah, please like make posts on that stuff. If you want to like edit the wiki and come up with things, like that's totally cool with me. I do want to put some work into this, is down the line, probably after 1.0, but I do want to do some work into like having an application that will capture the changes to the file system in the registry that an application does. So then you can basically wrap that around an installer and basically generate an LCX directly from an installer, which would be kind of sick. I will try to get that sometime in the future, because I think something like that would be kind of pivotal for an application like this. And that's actually something that came up at open source quite a bit, was people are like, well, how do I get my games actually on there? I'm like, well, it's kind of a manual process right now, but I have this wiki where you can go and view these things. So that automation is definitely impactful. But yeah, I'm going to call it there. Thanks for watching. I've been streaming for 2.5 hours now. That's kind of long. So we might do more of these. Probably might be more of a weekend thing, but we'll see. So have a good one, and have fun playing games.